I'm going to start a podcast that has no focus, and it'll take up an inordinate amount of time.
We were born with sun in our teeth and in our hair. When we get bored, we like to sit around and stare at the mountains, at the birds, at the ocean, at the trees. We have fun, we have fun, we have fun when we please.
Welcome to the Get to Know World of Warships podcast. Here's your host, Synpax.
Welcome to episode 92, where we talk to the global winners of the last season of Clan Battles, Penta, about the strategies that allow them to rack up a near 90% win rate. Then Derp tells us how to Plymouth like a Pilgrim. In what is considered the worst Tier 10 steel ship, he racked up a staggering 76% solo win rate, and he'll tell you how you can too. Then we chat with Stuey about the Team League tournament series. But first, we kick off this epi with JD and HoldMyBear to learn about their crazy Clash of the Classes tournament. Stay tuned to the finest podcast this side of the Mississippi, Get to Know World of Warships. I've got a new tournament to talk about, a brand new tournament in its very first iteration. It is called Clash of Classes, and I'm here with the two individuals who have set it up, have come up with the crazy idea, and are going to be running this tournament. I'm here with JD Red 5, known to us now as JD, and HoldMyBear, whom we will continue to refer to only by his surname, Beer. Mr. Beer and JD. How are you doing, guys? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
So, let's see. This tournament, let's get sort of the fundamentals out. When is it taking place, and what are the deadlines and that kind of thing for people who would choose to participate?
Yeah, so we are running February 4th to February 12th, 2022. So we are starting in just under 2 weeks. And the deadline to sign up, I believe we finished setting it up for the night before. I want to say we get a 24-hour deadline.
The 2nd of February.
The 2nd of February, so it's a 48-hour deadline.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how this tournament will operate.
Sure. The tournament will be a 4 versus 4 tournament. It'll primarily operate during the 8 o'clock to about 10 o'clock Eastern time during the regular season. It'll be battleship only. And for the tiers that will be involved, we're going to give teams the opportunity to mix and match and bring whatever tiers they want to bring. We've split up the different tiers to have different point values, and we've given teams a set amount of points that they can decide what they want to bring. So for instance, a team could bring like a tier 10, a tier 9, a tier 6, and a tier 5, I think. Or they could bring tier 9, 2 tier 8s, and a tier 7, something like that. So that's just a couple examples of all that.
Are they required to bring 4 ships?
Yes. It's not. You're not allowed to bring only 3 ships and cheat on the point system. I'm sure some teams would do it if they could.
Oh, I mean, just the whole concept I think is pretty novel, and it's clash of classes, but it's not a clash between classes. It's a clash within clashes. So, I presume future iterations of this might be cruisers only or destroyers only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
well, actually, to correct your previous statement, this is actually our third season. We've been in hibernation for a little while. It was 8 months ago when we played our season 2, and in season 2 we did have cruisers and destroyers as part of the format. But something that's in our statement of purpose is we want to try to change things every season. And basically, based on player feedback, everybody really loves the battleship format. So we decided let's try all battleships and give them what they want. So we hope that'll be really fun for people.
Well, I understand, and I don't really do any homework for this podcast. I pretty much just show up and just start asking stupid questions. I'm actually really looking forward to the CV versus CV season.
Oh yeah, we wish. Unfortunately, the training rooms still have it limited to
suggesting it. So
3v3.
I mean, yeah.
So this is North America only.
Correct.
Okay. What? So did I read it right? Is that there is a $100,000 cash prize for the winning team? Is that because that's the press release that I got handed?
Well, I mean, we did read. I at least, I think JD also. We listened to your last podcast, and we know that you're looking for sensationalism. So we would love to say that that's the prize. That isn't the prize though. However, we can offer teams. It'll be the best tournament experience you've ever had, or your money back.
You know, that kind of sounds to me like there are no prizes.
No, there are prizes. We actually, for the first time in this season, we are supported by Wargaming. Thanks to the Bogsy has been working with us and helped hook us up with that. So we're really grateful for that. We've got some Tier 8 ships for the first place team. They Tier 8 premium ships. Tier 7s for the second and third place. 6s for the fifth and... Sorry, I'm getting this messed up. Basically, there's...
so you're giving away free ships, basically, to the people who do well with this.
And there also is a lot of doubloon lump sum prizes that are available to teams, even if they don't place on the podium. A lot of our focus is to try to accommodate people who, for some reason, have never been able to participate in COTS or some other tournament that's more organized or more official or more competitive. And we're very casual focused. So even if people aren't the most competitive team out there, hopefully they'll be able to join, participate, and still they will have a chance to walk away with some prizes. Some pretty nice prizes.
Yeah, was this featured on the World of Warships website?
It was not.
Okay.
Bogsy gave us a shout out on the forums, and we have been pinned to the top of the World of Warships Reddit for quite a few weeks now.
Okay, cool.
For registration and whatnot. But yeah, advertising on the portal or on the website has been something we've been striving for, but not yet achieved.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, even then, I still want to give a tip of the Stetson to Wargaming because, you know, in the past there were some smaller tournaments that did have Wargaming support, but then they pulled it, and that was, I think, you know, I know that Wargaming has been trying to pivot towards more of a customer service facing presence and attitude, and the idea that they're now getting back into sponsoring these independent player-run tournaments, to me, I think is a very good sign. There was a tournament a while back, I think it was organized by Gaishu, where you did have points. You could spend points to buy ships, where that sort of, and that reminds me a lot of what you guys are doing here. How did you determine the point values for these different ships? And give me some examples of how you, and is there, like, while I'm talking to you, I might want to ask, can one of you DM me like a link where I can see the cost of each different ship?
Yeah,
sure. I think I know them off the top of my head. I think so. To be honest, for this last season, the mod team, myself, JD, and there's about 10 other guys that we've been working behind the scenes trying to make stuff happen, and we came up with this plan. I think tier 10s are worth 15 points, tier 9s are worth 13 points, tier 8s are worth 9 points, and then tier 7, 6, and 5 are all worth respectively the same amount of points. We did make a change where the tier 5s are tier 5 and down are all worth tier 5, so that way we don't, as much as we love the Mikasa, we'll potentially be avoiding some Mikasa versus Schlieffen action in the actual tournament.
So just to clarify, all tier 10s have the same point value.
Yes, that is correct.
And the details here is that Musashi is actually 15 points, the same as a tier 10. Now,
yes,
but
yeah.
why would it be the same cost as a Yamato, which has better accuracy?
Musashi's pretty OP as a tier 9, and that rule might mean that people don't bring Musashi, but we didn't want to make it that Musashi was the only tier 9 that was brought, as evidenced by the beta tests. One other thing I was going to mention I forgot to say was to validate this tier point system, we have conducted both an alpha and a beta test, and we've been able to have teams come in, run everything through the ringer under full playoff rule format, and the feedback from our teams actually was that they could not think of a better way to set up this tier system. So that hopefully this could be really good, really intriguing for the teams to be able to mix and match, keep things fresh, but also pretty competitive.
So tell me again the total number of points that you get to spend.
I think it's 41 that we're giving teams. 41.
So, okay, so in theory you could have 2 tier 10s, 1 tier 6, and 1 tier 5.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Interesting.
And then the other team could have something along the lines of 4 tier 8s, which we did see a lot of.
Yeah. Okay, all right. That sounds like a really fun tournament. Do you get to pick your own team?
You get to pick your own team. It's teams of 4, obviously. We have where you can bring in 2 substitutes as well. And we also have 1 mercenary slot. So essentially, you can kind of think of, you can bring a team of 7, and the 7th person can be anybody. They can even technically be from another team. It's just up to the team leader to decide how that person gets rewarded if that team gets rewards.
Those are some very gentle rules.
Me and the mod team, the whole thing, we're just really trying to be intentional to accommodate the casual player, the person who they're busy father, they can't play, they can only play a couple nights. The whole schedule, the format, everything is set up for that.
Well, yeah, in season 2, which launched May 2021, titled Mercuralia, we ran into a lot of issues with teams, scheduling conflicts, and maybe one team doesn't have enough players around, and there was a lot of forfeits. So we thought of this mercenary slot as, hey, if you need a player, you can bring anyone, just throw them in there so that you guys can field a team and we won't have any more withdrawals or forfeits. And even though it may seem like we're being super lenient with this, we're just trying to make sure that all the games get played.
That's real. Yeah, that's very friendly. It's very gentle, and it's kind of a real low pressure thing in the midst of, in between the clan battle seasons, which we've decided we're going to call season 15 part 1 and season 15 part 2. It's basically the same season continuing from one to the next, and it sounds to me like if you're really kind of tied as basically that tier 10 strict meta, this is a nice break from it. And I mean, how many battleships are there that you can basically choose from here? There's down to tier, basically any battleship in the game, right?
Correct.
Yes,
except the hybrids and the Musashi. Basically,
yeah. We also have restrictions where teams can only bring 1 ship per nation.
What?
So that also helps. You'll see a lot of variability with the lineup teams will bring.
Why that rule?
So people don't run 4 German ships. Although, this is a minutia thing perhaps, but on 3 of our regular season nights, we are going to introduce modifiers Basically, they're chaos creators of sorts. But we're going to give teams, I think, like 6 hours before the regular season night starts. We'll give the teams a couple options on a modifier to vote for, and then they'll vote, and whichever one gets the most votes will be implemented. So maybe as a modifier for one of the regular season nights, the nation rule can be removed, or the tier point system can be removed, or something like that.
Or maybe it's sharpened up, so it's just 30 points.
Yes. Oh, that would be kind of interesting.
Because
the biggest issue we ran into before the Ship Nation rule, which has been a rule since season 1, but I've heard stories from the beta test from season 1 where teams would bring in, Yamato and a Musashi and, something else 8 and 7, and it was just way too much firepower going on in one lineup.
Yeah, and but I think that as time goes by, there's going to be enough analogs across different nations where you have strong secondary ships, or now we're seeing strong torpedo ships across multiple nations. But the bottom line is that your platform, or the idea, especially the modifiers, really do add kind of a fun factor to it. And I know that there's a big audience. If you listen to a Potato Qualities videos, he likes to brawl in battleships. And if you like to brawl in battleships and don't want to have to worry about those pesky destroyers torping you, or those cruisers setting you on fire nonstop, well, maybe this is the tournament for you. I remember talking, I guess it was a while back, maybe to Sub Octavian, saying that people complain about ships being imbalanced, or some ships not being played. But then I think the real issue isn't just the ship, it's really just the environment, because there's some ships that you never see outside of clan battles, or rarely do, that don't do so well in randoms. Some ships that do great in randoms. Some ships that completely dominate in the 1v1 brawls. Like, it's basically a game of Tirpitz and Massachusetts and maybe a CV, and just kind of like you got a rock, paper, scissors between those three. And maybe this is an environment where battleships that maybe got overlooked in the past, they realize a certain synergy and just kind of makes sense. I want to talk to you. You've got donors that are helping with this tournament. Seabink, Ansna, and Wargaming. What are these donors, and what does that look like? And we definitely want to give them a shout out if they're helping you guys.
Sure. I can talk about that, I can talk about that. Basically, we, ever since season 1, the only reason season 1 took off to the level it did was this all kind of started as like a homebrew for fun event in the YOLO community. We've been doing silly for fun events, little joustings in the training rooms and whatnot for a while, and somehow myself and a couple other guys came across this idea of 4 versus 4 and pitched it to some of our friendly clans. People got really excited about it and said, this is really cool, we should offer it to more clans. So we opened it up to just the general public, and I was expecting something like $200 in prizes. That would have been my wildest dreams for season 1, because just whatever. And I did a match, and all of a sudden it turned into a wildfire, because before I could see anything, it was over $1,000 in prizes. People were just dropping it off, and I was like, okay, cool. So that put us on the map as something that we realized people enjoyed enough that they wanted to put their money where their mouth was and offer up prizes for that. We've been really grateful to our donors to come in and do that. Season 2 was the same format. We had similar amount of donors, similar amount of prizes. This season, Wargaming has helped step in to help, in my opinion, with the sustainability of it, at least on the mod end. It's fun to run this tournament. It's fun to work with the people. It's fun to work with the donors, but it's also daunting, if you can imagine, starting out with the season, putting in so much legwork to create the tournament, and then just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what is our actual prize pool going to be, because we don't know who's going to donate. So yeah, Wargaming was able to support us. We've also had a really awesome donor come in and give us $500. That would be the Ansna group. They
what is
really helped flesh out. Yeah, it very grateful for them. They that's like the highest tier of our donating, so they get all the accolades that we
what
can
is
have that way.
What are they?
They are a North America, New Zealand clan, I think. One of their guys actually is now on our mod team. He reached out and said, "Hey, can I help?" So we pulled him in. He's on our team. Doc Vapors is on our team, our mod team for this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But information to how to get into contact with them can be found on our Discord if people are interested. Yeah. I don't know that much more about them. I know that they're a New Zealand, North America group.
What is
and they're
Seabink?
relatively new.
Yes.
Right. What is Seabink?
That is, I think they formerly were called SWAC or SWARB. And they're another group that's been donors with us since season 1. And they're also helping out this season.
Okay, well that's very cool. I just wanted to make sure they got a nice shout out on the podcast. And
Yep.
I'm the Anza clan sounds fascinating. We'd love to have them on too, because for one of our get to know a clan segments. So please let them know to reach out and get in touch. So somebody wants to participate in this tournament, we will have the links downstairs in the description. And or just audibly, what's the easiest way to find out to get involved with this tournament?
We will have links to the Discord. If you Google just Clash of the Classes World of Warships, the first 2 links are a Reddit post and a World of Warships forum post that have links to all the information. It is not up and running yet, but we are currently working in the background on an official website that will have links to everything. It'll have the tournament page, the schedule, the rule set, registration forms, links to the Discord, all of the Twitch streamers that are participating right now. We have 9 Twitch streamers.
Wow.
And it's not up and running yet, but it will be very shortly.
We do have a link on our Discord, the 4th channel down. You click on that link and it has all pertinent information of the season in just a single page. That's a really useful link as well. And I'll also mention for anybody out there who for some reason doesn't have 3 other friends who can dedicate a couple hours during a week to come and participate on this tournament, we have a looking for a team channel on our Discord, and it's actually well frequented. There's always a handful of people reaching out saying we're looking for a 4th guy, or I'm all by myself looking for a team. And we really encourage people, if you've never been in a tournament, want to get involved, head to our Discord, jump in that channel, and hopefully you'll be able to get in a team that way.
Well, look, gentlemen, I'm really glad you're able to join us. And my hat is off to you for stepping up and organizing a tournament like this. I know it is often a thankless job, so please let me thank you and let our audience thank you. And again, guys, please check out the links down below and, watch the streams, set up a team, offer to Merc, and do what you can to support this. All right, thanks a lot, JD and Hold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
With my co-host for this segment, and I'm not sure he's ever been on the podcast before, but he is the commanding officer of, I would say, the greatest clan in the history of World of Warships, the New Guys, Late Lights. Have you been on the podcast before?
I have been on the podcast one time where we sunk the Kaaba.
Oh yeah.
As the ship, so that was fun.
Well, it's always good to have a returning guest. And we actually have 2 additional very special guests with us today. When I saw what these folks had done, it completely blew my mind, and I thought, you know what, we really got to figure out how they managed to do this. We're talking now to 2 of the, I think, leaders of the Penta clan. They are on EU, Blood Legend and Vile. Among their accomplishments as a clan is they have won the regional EU COTS 4 times. They've won international COTS, the overall King of the Seas tournament, twice. They've topped the leaderboard in Europe for clan battles 8 times, and they have 3 global championships from overall clan battles across all of the regions: North America, Russia, Asia, and EU. And what's particularly remarkable to me is this last season, where they ran up a clan rating of over 500 and a win rate of about 90%, which I think is remarkable. And we're really lucky to have them and find out how the heck they did it. Welcome, Vile and Blood Legend.
Hello.
Hello, good to be here.
So, what kind of crazy hacks do you guys have? Because maybe we could use them too.
Well, I mean, no kind of hacks, just a lot of dedication and people crazy enough to still compete in this game, I guess.
So now, your clan name in game is Penta.gg, and I went to Penta.gg, and it turns out that you guys really have your stuff together. You look like you're a professional gaming group, great gaming clan, gaming team, and you compete in Clash of Clans, Rainbow Six, something called Crossfire, World of Warships, and the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I mean, we've just recently teamed up with Penta, so this just happened like roughly 1.5 months ago when we officially joined them. And yeah, I mean, we just wanted to utilize our success as kind of like a ramp towards maybe achieving something that nobody else has done in the World of Warships community, and trying to get these gaming organizations interested. And obviously we were able to kind of be appealing or seem appealing to them because we have such a nice track record. And yeah, eventually through hard work and a lot of time, we actually managed to get in contact with some people, and yeah, we made it happen, and we are very happy about it. And I think it's a great thing for the community overall that this is getting started.
So you guys were a sort of your own regular World of Warships clan, and then there's this sponsor kind of entity that sponsors teams called Penta, and you got them to sponsor you. That's how this came to be.
Yeah, basically, it's
well. If I can ask a rather rude question, please forgive me, but what did they give you guys? Did you get like money or jerseys, or did they build you a gamer house so you can all live together and sleep together and have the room where you all play World of Warships together?
I mean, yeah, I thought this question would come, and obviously since we're in an official relationship with the team, it's sad to say, but I'm not really in a position to give you guys any details, but I can tell you it's a very positive relationship. Otherwise we wouldn't have done it. We wouldn't have done it if the organization would be some throat cutting people that just rip you off. No, it's a group of really great people that we are working with, and yeah, it's a good relationship overall.
Yeah, I mean, Penta has an app. I'm not sure like if there are any other clans that we're aware of that have their own app so that fans can follow them. But that's pretty nifty. So congrats on you guys getting that. Well, by the way, just for reference for those of us who follow EU clans, what was your name before joining Penta? Oh, you were Band CV, right? Was that you guys?
Yes, so we were originally TWA for a long time, and then we swapped to Band CV, and now we're Penta.
It's pretty remarkable. So let's talk about this clan battle season. Let's just talk some fundamentals. What strategy did you run? How many times did you change it during the season? What did your ship lineup look like?
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one. We definitely had a bunch of different stuff we tried out. It was a long season, even longer than the normal seasons, as far as I know. And it's something we noticed, over the different seasons and the years. You definitely the meta shifts during the season. You start out with something, and teams pick up different things. They adapt to how you play, and you also have to adapt, and you kind of have to stay ahead of the curve. So that was pretty much our goal, and I think we succeeded it in very well, where we tried to stay ahead of the curve of other teams. Whenever things were starting to get stale, we would kind of mix things up, throw some curveballs, and that was definitely one of the big key factors for our success, I feel.
So how many times do you think you revised your strategy and your lineup throughout the seasons?
Well, whenever we started losing, I guess. That was definitely a few different setups. It's
what lineup did you end up with in the end? What were you guys bringing?
The very last one. Yes. Well, that would have been. Well, a lot of it was the same as everyone, because you have ships like Petro, Moskva, Ragnar, where at least in Europe, basically everyone runs. And you have the 2 battleships. I think for us, at the end, might have been Kremlin, Ohio. But then, I think, what am I missing then? Yeah, well, definitely we brought the radar Mino. I don't think we saw many other clans using that, which worked out really well for us. I think it might have been Napoli, the last ship in the lineup.
So you ran
Napoli, exactly.
So you ran one destroyer, but I guess sort of a semi-destroyer in the form of a radar minnow.
Yeah. And I mean, can you really call a Ragnar a destroyer? It was actually a Salem originally, that Ragnar, but then we convinced, I think it was Anle who came up with that one, that, Ragnar actually is just a better cruiser and destroyer, so...
Yeah, I played it a few games myself. I can certainly appreciate it. So that initial lineup, though, if it was a Salem, there was no destroyer.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Which, I don't know if anyone who's followed us, that's something we've definitely also tried before in many different formats.
That's pretty remarkable, because, I mean, you see that there are innovators and then the imitators, and I guess as you're the innovators, you like, what? No destroyer? What? A radar minnow that just gets wrecked from every angle by, I guess, I mean, so you constantly got to be on your feet, and then everybody kind of copies it or tries to counter it, so you just come up with something else, something new. It's really remarkable, because again, you do. I don't think we see too many clans that really push the envelope in terms of innovation, because they're just afraid to take the risk. I mean, have you ever tried? How many times do you run a strat before? How many losses do you have to take before you realize it's not going to work? Or are you theoretically intelligent enough, I guess, to make that determination without having to run it into real battles?
So it really just depends. Like, a loss is not just a loss, right? You really have to analyze what was the root cause of it, and that might not immediately tell you, I have to swap out the strat right now because we lost, right? It could be due to some player mistakes that you lost the last game, and then you don't necessarily have to change up the strategy. It's really, you have to analyze what happened. You have to kind of feel out the meta to an extent that where you ask yourself, is this strategy still working against what the majority of people are doing at this given time? And then you'll decide. You'll just run it through your head, see what are the strengths of your strategies, what are your weaknesses, And you just go with that. And one thing I wanted to quickly pick up on, because you were talking about the different phases of strats we went through, and I certainly didn't play a whole lot this season. That's why Vile kind of like talked you through it. But one thing I definitely have picked up, because I just followed it, right? And I think that was really remarkable, is we started out using Nevsky quite a lot. Put it inside smoke screens, right? And it took people...
Who's by the way?
Sorry?
What ship would you use to set the smoke screen?
We did use Harugumo quite a lot. So we used that combination, and it worked really great. That got us some really high win rates early to mid-season. And it usually what happens is people play against us, they will lose to that strategy once or twice, and then you already start seeing people copying it. But with the Nevsky inside a smokescreen, in this kind of meta, it really took people a long time to pick up on it. And here comes the genius thing. So people started picking it up again, right? And then what is the vulnerability to Nevsky inside smokescreens? Well, rapid aggression, right? Because you want to shoot inside a smokescreen with Nevsky, well, have fun. Your spotting detectability inside the smokescreen is 10 kilometers. So if you can figure out how to push it, then it all of a sudden is no strength anymore. It becomes a weakness. And this is exactly when we swapped to a full cruiser lineup at the time when people started to actually see the strength of the Nevsky, but now they couldn't utilize it anymore that often against us because we changed it. So that's really the key takeaway of, how much thought goes into what strats to run, and just really paying attention to what others are doing as well.
That's really remarkable because there's one clan on North America that I think is particularly good at innovating. I'd say that's probably Geishu's clan. They change the name constantly, but they're one of the few in North America that really does some radical stuff like that. And I can see you guys similar mindset, because again, there's such to learn and develop a new strat and figure out whether or not it's going to work is such a big risk that they, if they have a strategy that wins 60% of the time or 70% of the time, it's good enough, right? And eventually over time the meta shifts and it gradually shifts down, and then they just modify it a little bit just sort of to tread water at 6% farming points off of the less experienced clans, but to really dominate, because to come as far away at the top as you were, it's not enough to just beat most clans most of the time. To have that type of lead, you basically need to consistently beat the number 2 and number 3 clans, and number 4 and number 5. And that just, the difficulty level just seems so much higher, and the requirement for coming up with innovative strategies must have been, was it invigorating or was it exhausting?
I mean, both, I guess. And we have to also talk about briefly about format this season regarding coming up with tactics, because it was actually with the limitations of no unique ships, that actually made it kind of tough to try and innovate. We really had to sit down and think to come up with something that's not only just different but also actually strong. So yeah, and the Nevsky thing definitely was a theme this season. We ran that thing for a very long time, I think, before other people started picking it up. I was very successful with it, but yeah, it was. I remember actually very clearly. It was we ran the Haru Nevsky, and other people, I think, started using Sommer's Nevsky, and that was around the time when we started dying torpedoes with our Haru and our Nevsky, when we decided that, okay, yeah, we don't want to flip this game on torps when both teams are playing the exact same setup. We can play our own setup, and we can do a lot better if we have playmaking potential, and the game is not coming down to coin flips like that. So
Yeah, coin flips do not give you a 90% win rate. And you mentioned two ships that I don't think we saw too much of in North American clan battles from anybody, either the Nevsky or the Minnow. Late Light, you played quite a few more clan battles than me. Did you see many Nevskys or Minnows?
There were a couple teams that were sort of doing the smoking a Nevsky with a Harugamo or some other DPM cruiser with a Harugamo, but it was super uncommon, and I always kind of wondered where it came from. I wonder if they stole it from you guys.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Could be.
You know, we actually found a strategy. Some of this sort of spread like a virus. There was a strategy that was started by a guy who used to play used to play US, moved to EU. I think it's Dastard, right? And it was one of those smoke strategies where I think it was either a Summers or a Gearing would smoke up 2 Woosters, and then like right at the end of the season, it had migrated from EU to NA server, and we started seeing it there. And I think 2 seasons ago, a couple seasons back, the top Asian clan was actually pulling that radar minnow into very aggressive destroyer positions. They did it for a while because folks didn't know how to handle it, and then when it didn't work anymore, they swapped it out and changed to something different. Did you guys think that the move to one ship of each type was a good move or a bad move, and how did it? You know, obviously you said it made things more difficult for you, but how did it push innovation or did it hamper it?
I mean, first of all, we were happy to not see any carriers or submarines, so that was already like a plus. We were happy about that. And next season is still going to be without those 2 classes, so all good on that front. But regarding your question, it's a bit difficult because initially everyone was happy, right? But sooner or later, I mean, okay, pretty much before the season, we already knew this was going to be a very stale season with where the meta is going to basically set itself on one lineup that's very dominant, and then you're going to have to really figure out these details. And yes, okay, it was annoying to an extent, right? But it also just feels real good to be able to innovate in this type of season where innovation is usually something you wouldn't come across too often. So in a sense, I don't know. I mean, yes, okay, I wouldn't be completely against playing this one again, but on the other side, if you come up with the same rules for the next one, which I don't think they're doing, but correct me if I'm wrong there, but it would just be a little bit too much. It would be a little bit too stale, and people would lose interest fast. And this already happened in this season. Like at the end of the season, it was hard to, keep motivating people to show up because, well, it was mostly the same stuff over and over. So, yes, it was a good feeling to be able to come out on top in this season, but it was a pain, and usually the games wouldn't be that enjoyable compared to the old format of just, one battleship, six other ships, no restrictions, have at it.
By the way, the next season is in fact exactly the same as this one. In fact, I'd almost consider the next season to be like part 2 of the same season. Just get a little breather in part 2, and I'm sure it will pick off. The meta will pick off right where it was left off, unless some of these new ships that are coming out shake it up. And I'm not sure. I mean, what do we have? We have the Sherman Forest, and we have the Incomparable, and I think am I missing anything?
Well, the Forest Sherman hasn't dropped yet, I don't think, and we don't know if there will be any additional. Like, if Wargaming might say they've said what the format is, but they haven't said if there's going to be any ship bans. Like, hey, you can't bring in Ohio because everybody brought in Ohio. They could change something up like that. But if they don't do that, I don't see it changing too much from the last day of this season.
Yep, it just picks right. It's like summer break or spring break in that spring semester of school. So what does a week look like during clan battles in Penta? Because you've got 16 hours a week that you potentially could be playing clan battles, but how many of those hours do you use, and what do you do on the hours outside of that? What does a week look like in the most elite clan, at least for the last clan battle season?
Well, for the clan battles part, I can tell you it's definitely not 16 hours a week that we put in. Due to people's limitations, time, and just they want to invest. I think this season we did end up playing. I think like most sessions, I would say. Me myself, I was there. I think I have the most games this season in the clan. I was always there as the token clan battles addict. So I was there most of the time, but we didn't always play full sessions. There's always like if you play 4 hours a night with like the same 7 people, or even rotate 1 or 2, like people do actually kind of can lose focus. So it's not always even the best to play for that long. So yeah, and then there's also the other factor which came into play. Probably the latter half of the season, which is queue times for a clan that is up there. So we basically, as much as we ended up playing, we also ended up sitting in the queue. When our queue times towards the end of the season were getting to we were expecting the 12-minute queue, right, which seemed to be kind of some kind of hard limit set by Wargaming, unless it was literally one of the top 1 or 2 top clans where the queue would be shorter. So it was a lot of sitting in queue.
What do you guys do while you're sitting in queue?
We
maybe something like this. Not a lot.
Yeah, I think just chatting shit, and there was some Scribble IO sessions that happened in queue. Whatever we could do to
Oh, all right, that's cool. But outside of clan battle time, were there group study sessions, or would the battle call, or maybe a couple others just sort of do strategy focus sessions? Where would that come about?
It's not rare that the team would actually spend easily 1 hour after clan battles, just analyzing things, talking things through, potentially figuring out something new if that is needed. It's not very rare that people just get into these discussions after clan battle sessions. So I'd say at least half the time people are still chatting about what happened on that day and if there's anything to improve upon. Yeah.
How did you guys?
Especially if there's something especially if there's something that needs to be changed, right? If things are going wrong, where there's gonna be discussion about it, be it after the session or before the next session. If we need to make changes to the lineup, or if we are losing, then there's a reason we are losing. Sometimes the reason is just some bad luck or some bad individual performances, which is completely normal. And we brush it over like that. Sometimes there's something wrong with the setup, the tactics. We need to go over, so we don't make the same mistakes twice.
So, how does battle management work? Is there a singular battle caller that's in charge of things like what the strategy is and who is on the bench and who comes in, or is that done collectively? How do you figure that out?
Well, I'd say we do it different than most other people, in a sense that there are no traditional FCs or field commanders or leaders or whatever you want to call it in the team. Yes, there are senior members in the team that have played competitive since forever, but one thing that we pay very close attention to is high-level communicative skills. And this then translates into individuals, literally every individual on the team being able to make a call, and then everyone else kind of following up on it. Because one thing that I can definitely tell you is that if you play in a high competitive situation and you play with people that know this game in and out, their intuition in certain situations, or in most situations, is going to be correct. And it is then on us to follow up on that and quickly react to this intuition, to enable this person to actually make the play that he just saw is possible. Because yes, you can make a play, right? But usually you can make a play only in a certain time window, right? And if your team is not able to communicate this quickly enough, and people maybe don't feel like they have the authority to make the call, I'm doing this play now, and then everyone else is following up. If they don't feel like they have the means to do it, or if they don't feel like they're supported enough, they don't have the authority, then that's a really bad thing, because now you've just missed that opportunity of a potential play that will win you the game, because it's 7v7, right? Mm-hmm. If you can get one chunky salvo into someone, or even take this other ship out because of this one person that had this great intuition, well, then you should really work on trying to have that happen more often.
That's some remarkable insight. So how does recruitment work in Penta? Because to have the kind of folks that can play in this hive mind manner probably requires a very high skill set and probably a long onboarding consideration process. How do you find new people to join your clan and figure out whether or not they really fit?
Well, I guess the simple answer is, we put people in who seem capable, and we just test them like trial by fire. And I can say, as someone who joined, TWA, HoldMyBear Penta, not that long ago, considering the history of the clan. It's been a while now. I don't know what it's been, like year,
2 years and a half, I think.
Yeah,
almost.
But I can tell, like from my experience, because we were obviously already a very established clan with very much like similar dynamic in the team, that it can be a tough process for the recruits. You basically, but it's a top elite clan. Like you just gotta prove yourself. That's really all there is to it. And we give people time. We have some recruits right now playing with us. Played for this season. Clan Battles is actually one of the better ways, I feel, to trial people. It's you have a lot of games. If you make some mistakes, it's not like you're losing a tournament because of it. So you feel comfortable having people in where that might happen. And it's really just trial by fire. It can definitely be intimidating for people. You have some strong personalities in the clan, and but like Blood said, for us, kind of the goal in the team is to have 7 people who are all very strong players and all know what to do most of the time without having someone tell them, right? So that's what you need to be capable of, and
That's remarkable. I'd love to be in a fly on the wall watching you guys play clan battles, listening to the voice comms. Although, you has unlike most of NA, where pretty much everybody, with a few exceptions, speaks English. You've got the EU, where I guess a lot of people do speak English, but their primary language, their home language, is something else. What is the official language of your clan?
Obviously English, but we have a lot of German people, so we like to joke that maybe we could run a full German team.
I was wondering. So, where are your players from? Is it mostly German and a mix of what else?
I think maybe in the current team, there's in the current competitive roster, maybe 30-40% Germans, and then the rest really all over Europe.
Just international. Yeah, that's how it tends to be. There's a lot of German players, in a lot of the top clans, but and then the rest is just from wherever in Europe, really.
Well, we're blessed to have our very own elite German player on North America, who's on one of our frontliners, Righteous Fury, and we're very, he's been with us, I think almost since the beginning, going all the way back to maybe season 3 or season 4, and so we really appreciate. I mean, I could could you imagine a team of 7 Righteouses?
I don't know if I could handle that.
I don't know if Righteous could handle that. But yeah,
Righteous is a treasure trove of knowledge about World of Warships, and he does like to talk about it a lot.
And almost everything else. we love you, Righteous, if you're listening to it. And but that it's sort of because you always have that national, multi-nation dynamic with some of these EU teams where maybe some teams are solely everybody's Spain. And there are a few of those in North America. I think we've got a few actually Brazilian dedicated teams and Canadian dedicated teams. Well, I think that more than half of TNG is probably Canadian, and the other half is maybe Texan. Sound about right, Late?
Yeah, that's the recruiting requirement.
Yeah, must be from either the nation's top hat or the nation's boot. Well, look, I was wondering what advice you guys might give to a clan that's struggling. Maybe they make Hurricane here or there, or maybe it's like a Storm clan and just has aspiring for greatness. What advice would you give to clans that look up to you and what you've accomplished?
You want to go ahead? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go first, and you can follow up. I mean, first thing that comes to mind for me is just, I think, critical thinking mindset. Always looking to improve. If something is going wrong, you're losing games, let's say. You should be looking at, first of all, why. What is going wrong? How can we improve this? And it's really just a competitive mindset that hopefully a lot of top competitive players, competitive people should share. Where you're really just looking at ways to improve constantly. Even us, right? We're at the top, but we're constantly still doing it. If something is wrong, we're trying to figure out why. Trying to always get better. So that is for me personally, that is the number one thing, just that kind of mindset. And then there's other things, and if struggling clan, I mean, I've been in different clans before myself, less prestigious ones, and it can be tough, you gotta work with what you have, play to your own strengths sometimes. You don't always have roster of 7-star players who think and breathe the game all the time, but really it's just I don't know, it's different for everyone, but the mindset is a big thing for sure.
Yeah, and something to follow up on is you really have to pay attention to the strength of your people. Like you said, Val, these type of clans that we're giving advice to right now obviously don't have a star lineup, as in people who are really experienced, have been in the competitive scene for a long time at the top. So for someone who is trying to manage a team in the realms of, let's just say, Storm or Lower Typhoon or wherever, right? Kind of applies to everyone, really. Is you really have to know what individual people are good at, type of ship class. And then you have to give them the opportunity to just really get into a groove, especially in the CBs, where you play game after game after game, and you get rid of these mistakes by giving these anchors in your team more playtime. And you really only, let's say, if you're a team of 7, you really need maybe 2 or 3 people who play in the team very consistently, right? And maybe you even put them on ships that are important for your strategy. Key ships like, let's say, maybe a battleship and a Petro and a DD, right? Have a good mix spread them around. Don't have them all sitting at one spot. Spread them around the battlefield, so these more experienced people that know the ins and outs of these positions that you're playing can share this advice or these informations with the people that you want to swap in and out, because obviously you want to give people playtime, right? That's important, so nobody gets frustrated. But you're playing in a competitive environment, and you're not gonna improve if you just swap out the team left, right, and center all the time, because that's really gonna hinder your progress, because it's not the same team all the time, right? So yeah, that's what makes it difficult, and that's why I think you should really focus on these 2 or 3 positions.
Yeah, and I actually have a good example, I feel like, from this season of what Vlad is saying. Like when it comes to, for example, to the smoke plus Nevsky combination, there's a reason why me personally, I was on Harugumo duty for basically like majority of the season, like when we were playing the setup, and I would also, if possible, have the same person on the Nevsky. And I have, you know, all the tier 10s in my port. I can play them, but it's definitely something I've seen other teams struggle with when they, you know, quote unquote, try to, let's say, copy our homework. They try to do the smoke Nevsky thing. I saw many teams really to struggle with the synergy there. That actually just gave us wins sometimes, because you know, they're trying to do something which requires coordination, it requires practice, something you just get better at over time. And it's also the same. I did some mercenary work for a Storm Clan earlier this season, and it was kind of the same thing. We tried to do the smoke thing down there, and it was just like, you know, you can see the difference of what it's like when you have the top level players really like just do the same thing over and over again, even in across formats even, and how they you know iron these details down, and how it actually does make a difference and changes things. It's not as simple as, you know, you might think, you know, something like destroyer cruiser playing together, laying the smoke. It sounds easy, but there's actually a lot of things that go into it, and I think that's just something you kind of pick up over time.
I got a question for you guys. We saw this in NA a little bit, where sort of teams made Hurricane, and then maybe they played for their Hurricane Steel, and then they just sort of quit, right? Like they stopped playing. Do you guys have any problems with? I mean, you guys had 500 points on a Hurricane rating. How do you motivate people to keep showing up after the rewards are gone, and after Hurricane is achieved, and after you guarantee a good spot in the leaderboard and stuff like that? Do you have any problems with people being like, I think I might be done? Or do you guys just have like some serious hardcore clan battle people that'll play until the end?
I think the biggest issue is if the format is getting stale. Like that's when I saw some people who normally are there saying like, you know, everyone is playing the same setup, we are playing the same setup, it's no longer fun to play. Because I think most people for us simply enjoy playing the game at like a high competitive level. That in itself is fun. Like the rewards are kind of a bonus at that point. And then there's obviously a motivation factor if you want to look for one. Like obviously finishing, well, global number 1 or even Europe number 1, which was like, I think Europe number 1 was like the goal. Getting global number 1 is kind of a bonus and came along. But those are definitely things that do motivate people. Yeah.
I guess, did you guys ever try any inter-server clan battles, hopping on during different time zones?
Yes, we did in fact one session this season, and I believe it might have been, if not the very last session we played, one of the very last sessions where we actually came over to NA for a night.
You know,
it was last Thursday.
I imagine that if you have a novel strategy that has been wearing a little thin on your home server, taking it on the road probably nets you quite a few more points.
Yeah, that's what we thought too. It is definite. It's a double-edged sword because everyone on NA is playing a new thing we've never seen also. But definitely, like if we did that more consistently, it would probably be an advantage for us. Because one of the things we have to worry about during a long season when you play the same top clans multiple times on the same map. You're playing the same lineup for a while. People adapting to what you're doing. If someone knows beforehand what you're gonna do, then that makes the game suddenly, well, I would say it makes it easier for them to play, right? And harder for us, right? So, especially when we are kind of consider us someone who likes to innovate, and get an advantage that way. So, yeah, definitely, it's I didn't really consider too much like playing on other servers because it simply wasn't like necessary, I would say.
I guess with a 90% win rate, maybe not, but
yeah.
But it's certainly, an exploit in a way, and it's honestly, I don't really know whose server has the best players. I think EU has a larger player base, which tends to yield a more advanced top end player, but I know that NA has also taken it down in COTS Global before. So that I think you've exhausted our questions, and I know where you are. It's really late right now, so unless Lately you have any other questions for these guys?
No, it's been nice to hear from you guys though.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff out, and I'm sure that our audience enjoyed it. And then maybe, when the next time you win Global, we'll have you back again to talk about. We're going to talk about Season 15 Part 2.
Actually, I'll let Blood go as well after, but I'll quickly comment on that Season 15 Part 2, which Blood already answered. But for me, someone who played over 200 games this season, I have to say I have very mixed feelings about Wargaming bringing back the exact same format for the next season. Because, like we said, no CVs, no subs, that is great and all. Tier 10, also great. And there has to be kind of some limitations because we have ships in the game like Petro, Ragnar, whatever. So, limitations, fine. But I personally feel like what they did, with the unique ships, it during a long season, it does get stale. If we're going to get the same thing again, where people, already have the meta kind of figured out, I don't know how that gets. We'll have to see. It might be a big grind. For example, I think we could have seen something like, let's say, a maximum of 2 of the same ship, I think would have been good. Or, going back to the 1 battleship in a 7 versus 7 format, which a lot of, I know, top players enjoy or prefer over the current format. So, yeah, definitely some mixed feelings about that. But I'm sure we'll end up still playing the next season, and we'll have to see how that goes.
Did any of your lineups this year or this season only have 1 battleship or no battleships?
No, I think we always had to. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is a grind. It's going to be exactly the same thing. But the only, what might change is maybe the maps are different. Maybe some different maps. And any of these ships that have come out, I mean, you'd like to write them off as not being able to find a role in competitive, but sometimes somebody finds a way to stick one in, just like, Radar Minnow. And I think that there was another clan this season in North America who's, again, probably overall the strongest clan, was bringing a Zao. So,
okay.
Go figure.
Well, that has to be memeing.
What's that? Yeah.
That has to just be memes, because if you're really just looking at it, the Zao is, it's not a competitive ship at all.
I would agree, but then, anyway, look, thanks for coming by. Down below, we will have plugs to the Twitch streams, to the penta.gg website. Encourage everybody to go take a look. And but no, seriously, how do you guys have an NFL team? NHL.
Look, it's a big gaming org, and they've been around for a long time. before I joined them, I knew them since 5 years already. So they've been around for a long time, and they've invested in a lot of different paths. Maybe not the most stereotypical ones, but these games exist, and these games definitely have thriving competitive scenes. Otherwise, the org wouldn't have picked up on them.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll let you gentlemen go. And I encourage again our audience, please check out the links down below. And gentlemen, I hope we have you again sometime soon.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yep. Thanks.
Struggling with your PR, win rate, and free fall? Turn your potato into a tornado? Yikes. Who writes this? With Get to Know a Ship segment.
And we're back, and I am here with my guest co-host, Samo, a fellow TNG member. How you doing, Samo?
Doing great, Syntax.
So, let me ask you a question. What would you say is the most garbage Tier 10 steel ship?
Your ship. Probably Plymouth in this current meta.
I think that is definitely the consensus choice, the Plymouth. In fact, if we look at the overall statistics, at least in North America on the Plymouth, it actually underperforms in average damage both the Minotaur and the Goliath. The Goliath by about 20,000. And the win rate is about the same as the Minotaur under the Goliath. And keep in mind though that whenever you have like a new or exclusive ship, who do you think's the people that are getting it? Do you think the average potato is getting a Plymouth? No, it's the elite of the elite. So while there are 3.3 million Minotaur games and every potato's out there, rolling broadside, just getting wrecked, as often happens in that ship, there's only 40,000 Plymouth games. And despite its elite player base, again, it's a steel ship and not necessarily very popular one compared to other ones like Stalingrad, Bourgeon, Summers when it was out, all these other wonderful steel ships. Despite that, it has about the same win rate as a Minotaur. So, would you be surprised, or would you believe me, Samo, if I told you our very special guest here has a win rate in the Plymouth after 112 games of, get this, 74%, and an average damage of 118k. But not only that, when we look at his solo stats of nearly 50 battles, it goes up to a win rate of 77% and an average damage of 122,000. His numbers went up when we look at just his solo stats and subtract, the times he's run around with a div of 2 or 3 fellow Unicoms. Doesn't this make you a little bit curious about what kind of magic or hacker skills this individual must have, Samo?
Well, certainly the radar would help getting DDs to boost win rate.
Well, yeah, but everybody has that, so that doesn't show like in the overall numbers of being basically a trash ship, a trash steel ship. Anyway, we are here with a very special guest, the clear leader on the leaderboard for the Plymouth, Derp, with Clan Well Done. Derp, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You were this is your first time on with us, and I'm really glad that you're so flexible. In fact, we just reached out to you today and was like, yeah, I'll come in and talk about it. What fundamentally do so many people get wrong about the Plymouth?
See, this is a hard one. There's so many things I can say about it, but if I had to say one thing, it's like it might just be the versatility of it, which is surprising since you don't have high explosive, right? But the things you can pull off in the Plymouth is kind of crazy, and many people don't expect you to do it. So if I had to say one thing, it's probably the versatility of the ship.
So, because I'm actually looking at your, this is a good measure because we had Bison to come on to talk about Hayate, and he was like basically admitted that, look, yeah, it's not my best destroyer. There are other destroyers that play better, etc. But when I look at your random stats, it certainly performs better for you than the Minotaur, the Gibraltar, the Goliath. In fact, when I add in your other ships, it completely dominates. And you're a very strong player, like definitely a Unicom player, super Unicom player. The Plymouth is essentially your strongest cruiser. What do you think you're doing that other people aren't doing? Tell us a little bit about your mindset when you go into the game driving a Plymouth.
All right. So basically, in no other destroyer besides maybe the Minotaur, because I play the Minotaur.
You mean cruiser?
Yeah. Sorry, cruiser. Yes. So with Plymouth, right, you can play it in kind of an aggressive manner since you have the smoke radar combo, kind of like the Belfast of tier 7. So my checklist basically right as I go into the game is I basically kind of just head first into the cap that I spawn at, or any cap that has one of my DDs or wherever one of my DDs is going, basically, because you can play in a sort of way that you can get away with just basically face planting into a cap, as I said, and then chunking their destroyer for, if not all of his health, around half of it. And that opens up a lot of opportunities for you and your team. So, yeah, first of all, basically, I'm trying to kill destroyers to start off the game. Not only does that, help the win rate, as we talked about, but also that opens up farming damage later in the game to, get the average of 115, 120k, whatever it is. And that basically differs from all the other cruisers, because if you look at, like, I don't know, my Smolensk or something like that, my top priority is definitely not to face first into a cap and kill the destroyer, because you're going to die. It's to farm the battleships and then shoot the occasional destroyer that's spotted, but you're not doing your own spotting. In the Plymouth, your detect is 9.2, your radar's 9, so right as you get spotted, if you're face planting, you're going to be able to radar and instantly detect their destroyer. And it's just like, people aren't really prepared for it, to see a Plymouth in their face greeting them with the cap, they're more worried about your destroyer, but yeah, it's definitely just that surprise at the beginning of the game. That's my overall strategy that differs from all my other cruisers, because I don't really own another cruiser that has the ability to do what I can do in the Plymouth besides the Minotaur, but you lack the smoke, so you don't have a good disengage.
Yeah, and you do have a significant number of games, and still super Unicom type PR win rate in all of those ships that we're discussing here. So, like, it seems to me that Plymouth, and you don't see a lot of Minotaur in competitive, partially because of the coordination of long distance 12K Soviet radar. Has that? How do you overcome that when you're playing in a Plymouth, when it can basically light you up, and then their whole team, it's like you're going to be the favorite thing for them to shoot at? Because that's what I like best about Plymouth, is when you shoot them, they just kind of explode.
See, that's also what I want to talk about too, is that it's like surprisingly survivable. It's rare that I get dev struck in a Plymouth. I know when I play Minnow that I get dev struck probably half the games, and that's coming from me, who I think I'm a relatively good Minnow player, and I still get dev struck. But Plymouth, I probably can count on one hand how many times I've been dev struck, just because, like, there's just something about sitting in a smoke, and say you do get radared, right? And you usually, if you can pick it up on the map, you know where the Russian cruisers are. So when they're within 12 kilometers, you know that there's a chance you're going to get radared. So you basically want to position yourself in a way that you can kind of abuse the fact that, A, you have a 50 millimeter deck in the middle of your ship, 51 to be exact. And 2, you have, British acceleration, whereas most Russian radars, even though they're 12 kilometers, they're short duration. So you basically have to dodge 1, maybe 2 salvos if it's like, like one salvo that's going to kill you, 2 if it's like a Stalin and he can overmatch you. you have to dodge basically one salvo. So you can kind of angle in a way that you can accelerate out of the first shot, and then you're mostly going to be good. And then you just have to worry about not drifting out of your smoke. But to me personally, the radars haven't been a huge issue because you're usually trying to be in a position where only a few ships can shoot at you, and most of the Russian cruisers aren't going to be able to kill you outright by themselves.
Are you saying that they don't get struck as much? Because you're too armored, or because everything comes out as an overpen?
There's a lot of overpens, and I mean, like for me, I basically just spec'd into being able to survive. Like that one time I get detected or I make a mistake, so you have to use basically everything that you're given. You have the heals, you have the 51mm deck, you have the acceleration, so you can usually get away with just barely, usually taking like a 20-second radar or something like that.
When you load into a game, you look at the enemy team and you sort of look at the way people are rolling out. What's like a big red flag to you? Like, I don't want to deal with this, or this is going to be a problem. I need to be especially vigilant against it.
I'd say tied for first place is a carrier and a Stalingrad, personally. They both, they both want to kill you because Stalingrad overmatches you, and you have the improved AP pen angles on the Stalingrad, the 305s, so they hurt. And a carrier is, gonna want to kill you because if they're a good carrier, I've played against good carriers, and I've watched their VODs about them talking about it, and they're all like, Plymouth is bad AA, let's go kill that Plymouth because he's going to kill all our DDs, so.
Oh yeah, it's like, I get it. It's like they recognize it's a threat. And also, I mean, the AA on the ship, is it mediocre or bad? How would you describe it?
It's mediocre. I mean, it's actually, I'd say it's actually bad for tier 10, right? Like, you're going to be able to kill tier 8 planes, but you don't have a DFAA, so you're really not. Your AA is not going to be able to just shoot a squadron out of the sky like a booster or a Gudenlu AA can. You have pretty useless AA. It's not gonna. It's gonna do like what you expect it to do and really nothing more. So.
Yeah, and the way I kind of like I've been pushing people to rate ships is scale of A to F. I can't tell where in the world you're from, but I presume you're familiar with the American grading system of A through F.
Yeah.
No E. Across across randoms, ranked, and competitive. So, randoms, Plymouth, A to F. What do you grade it?
I'd say probably a B.
Okay.
In my opinion, but that might be biased.
No, that's just basically the goal, is to win and farm damage. Seems you've been quite successful with it in that regard. What about ranked?
I don't play much ranked, but from my experience, probably around a C or a D.
Okay, not quite as strong. What? Because of is this a ship that performs better the more ships there are on the board?
So in ranked, there's less targets to shoot at, which means that you're going to be targeted more. And I've just found that it struggles more, and the kind of ships that people bring into ranked as well, you're not being able to pick off like 3 of their destroyers per game, and there's a lot of bow in gameplay that I've found.
Yep.
Only AP, you're not able to succeed as much as
and
you are in ranked.
Finally competitive.
Ooh. Yeah, probably D or an F. I mean, I think they're pretty interchangeable.
So you didn't roll into clan battles this last season with the Plymouth?
I actually did one game. We were in our sub clan trying to push it to Typhoon. So I was like, screw it, guys. I'll shot call for one game. So we brought a Plymouth and Smolensk, and we ran it down into the B cap. We killed the destroyer, but then we both died. So I don't think I'd recommend Plymouth. There's a reason why you don't see it in clan battles.
Unfortunately, I guess so. And I guess the final rating's not on gray, but I guess you can do it in gray. But like the overall fun factor of the ship, is it a fun ship to play?
Yeah, I would actually give it an A in that department. There's a reason why I went over the 80 games that I needed to leaderboard it. I generally have a lot of fun in it, much more than other ships that I play, just because it's just like you always have to be aware of your gameplay, and I think that's something that adds to the fun factor. It's rewarding.
So when it does have a fair amount of consumables. Well, not defensive fire, but it has the smoke, radar, hydro, torpedoes. Only a limited number per side, though it's not quite as many as the Minotaur. Do you get to use those torpedoes very much?
Not often. My main use of the torpedoes is if I'm sitting in a smoke, 12 kilometers, 10 kilometers, you have a 10-kilometer range on the torps. If I'm sitting directly in front of someone in a smoke, I basically fire my torpedoes at the route that they will take, where they will take the least amount of damage from my guns. So it's basically just straight at me. So they're basically just like, my torpedoes are a way for me to make up for the damage that I wouldn't be able to get if they just continue to bow in against me. Whereas if they turn out to go broadside, then I'm going to be chunking them for a lot of damage each salvo. So I basically solely use my torpedoes for the, just bow in, push against me. And I rarely ever use them for any, YOLO gameplay. But,
sure. So just more or less for zoning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let's talk ship build. What upgrades do you put on the ship? I mean, some of them are probably pretty obvious, but let's just want to know the details. What go into those slots for you?
Sure. So in slot 1, I take main armaments mod 1, just because that's basically the standard. It's basically a standard cruiser build. I take engine room protection, just for the stray citadel. You don't want to.
Whoa!
Get your engine knocked out.
Whoa! Not surveillance radar mod?
I don't take that now.
Why? That is bizarre. I've never heard of somebody not taking it on a radar ship where they can take it.
For me personally, one of the main issues that I have with cruisers is drifting out of smoke, just because I play with my acceleration too much, especially with British cruisers, and your acceleration, you can really easily leave your smoke. So first of all, I haven't really gone around to buying it. Second of all, I feel like you don't necessarily need it, because you already have 44-second radar base. And it's just kind of unlikely that you add 20% to that and a DD is still going to be able to be in your smoke, because by then, the most common things I see out of destroyers is, in a cap that I'm in, is they either immediately turn out and they almost immediately die, or they survive, but then they leave your 9-kilometer radar because you're basically at the edge, because right as you radar them, you're stopping and smoking.
So you value the protecting the engine from those.
Yeah, I basically,
rather than another, what is basically 7 or 8 seconds of radar, 8 or 9 extra seconds of radar is what you get.
Yeah, I genuinely spec for the survivability.
All right, wow. Maybe that's something that all the people that are having a bad experience with the ship are missing. Is they just reflexively take the radar. And okay, slot 3.
I take aiming systems.
Okay.
Just because you want to maximize the guns, which is getting all your damage. I take rudder shift in slot 4, steering gears. In slot 5, I take concealment.
Let's just clarify though that in slot 4 prop mod, it's a British ship. It's built in.
Yes. Okay. So you can't take the prop mod.
So then concealment. Correct. And finally,
I take main battery mod 3, so the reload.
Okay, cool. Let's talk captain skills. Let's say you've got a 21-point captain. What are you bringing?
Sure. So for the 1 points, I take grease the gears for the turret traverse. I take swift fish for the torpedo speed, because I had 1 point left over. I didn't know where to put it. I take IFA, incoming fire alert, and last stand for my 1 points.
Those are 4 1-pointers.
Yes,
including
4.
IFA, and you lean on that IFA, I imagine.
Yeah, that's very helpful, as long as and then in the second row I take party target. So basically IFA and party target are like your best friend or your best friends. Personally, I love priority target, so whenever somebody doesn't recommend it, I put it on anyway.
Yep.
It gives you a lot of information.
Same.
And then I take consumables enhancements just for the radar
Superintendent.
time. Yes, and then for the third row I take superintendent.
Okay.
I take survivability expert and adrenaline rush. And then for the fourth row, my only skill is concealment expert.
Yeah, I guess you only have AP. I'm sorry. Did you grab adrenaline rush in there? Did I hear you take that?
Yes. Adrenaline rush, superintendent, and survivability expert for the third row.
Got it. So let's just repeat those real quick. Let's see if I got them. We go with, was Grease the Gears? Was that?
Yep.
Grease the Gears, consumable specialist, incoming fire alert. The next line, priority target and consumable enhancements. Next line, adrenaline rush, superintendent, survivability expert. Final row, concealment expert. And that means I'm missing one thing. So was last stand in that mix?
Yeah. Last stand was there.
Okay, so that's the build. That's awesome. Sam, you got any questions for our guests here?
No, not really. You've covered basically everything. Commander skills, modules, gameplay. Can't really think of anything else.
Well, I guess I have a question. Is that today I bought myself a incomparable because I had a coupon, but the only steel ship I don't have is the Plymouth. I don't have a coupon, but I've got about, let's see, 30. I'm pulling it up now. I've got about 40,000 steel, and the ship in question only costs 27,000. It's Samo, remind me, do we have any new steel ships coming out other than there's like a CV coming out, right?
At this point, I've only heard of the Incomparable. I'm not sure if they've released anything in the dev blogs recently, though.
But it's the only next steel ships coming out is Derp. Do you know off the top of your head?
I'm not sure that any steel ships have been announced yet.
Yeah,
in the future.
And even if it is a CV out there, I mean, I'm not really in a hurry to get a CV. I got the FTR, and I don't think I've even played it in a single random battle. Maybe once. I don't even know. So, would you suggest that I get the Plymouth?
See, this is a question that I get asked in my own clan a few times. And I have to say, kind of like, for me personally, if you like the same ships that I do, then I would absolutely get it. I don't know if I got it as my second steel ship, so I don't know if I'd recommend if you do it that early, but for a person like you who has no other ones to buy, then I don't think that you would be disappointed. You just have to be, very aware of, you have to play it like a light cruiser, right? You can blow up at any second, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually, Samo, do you have a question now? I saw a ping come up.
For any new players that choose Plymouth as one of their first steel ships, is there any tips you would give to them? Since it's a slightly different playstyle than Minotaur.
Sure. As a relatively new player who gets Plymouth, first of all, I'm somewhat questioning why you didn't get Borg or Stalingrad. But other than that, I would just say, mostly, like, first of all, just like protect your citadel. Try to use all your smokes. That's something that I try to do. It's kind of free damage, and you're basically looking for broadsides. Because you only have AP, you're not going to be reaching your damage goals or doing anything useful by shooting Bowen targets. Basically, like, if you want to have an impact in the Plymouth and get wins in it, which is what I'm assuming you're trying to do and have fun, you're basically just trying to kill the DDs, and then after that, everything's just fair game.
So I'm hovering my finger over the purchase button here. Samo, should I hit it?
Why not? There's nothing else coming out, so yeah.
Boom, meow, got it, purchased.
Why not?
There we go. Okay, I am now the proud owner. You have, because I was wondering about this one for a while. I love the old Belfast. I don't know, this is a different ship, but everyone I'm talking to, they're like, oh, it's bad. It's got bad DPM, AP only, weak torpedoes, gets wrecked by everything. But then, we get a true unicorn out there who's like, no, this is the way. This is the way. and you've explained to us and to our listeners. So I really did just hit the purchase button, and I only have 12,000 steel left, but I have every steel ship in the game, including some of the ones I think were removed. Pretty sure I've got everything. So with that, I really want to thank you. Oh, by the way, Derp, would you mind letting our audience know what your current in-game handle is?
Sure. The current in-game handle is Plymouth_abuser. In case you're wondering, So if you see me, say hi.
So it's like, to be clear, because the name could be interpreted, you're not somebody who abuses Plymouth. You're somebody in a Plymouth who abuses others.
It could be interpreted both ways. I'm not really sure which one it is. Might be both.
Maybe.
I abuse the given Plymouth that I have, and I use that to abuse poor souls who do not understand its true power.
Yeah, when we were talking to Bison about the Yate, one of the strengths he suggested it has is that when people see it, they don't respect it. Maybe that Plymouth has a little bit of that going with it. So listen, do you have any streams or anything like that you'd like us to plug?
I don't really stream or anything like that, so I don't really have anything like that. I can send you my Twitch. I sometimes stream on there, but
we'll post your Twitch below. Maybe you got some VODs of some Plymouth abuse, and I'm sure that some folks that have been doubting and hating on the ship. I should check in with our good friend Boggsy to see after this podcast drops how many Plymouths they sell. So anyway,
I hope it goes up.
At least one. You sold one today. So look, I really appreciate you coming on. We hope we have you again sometime soon. But thank you very much, Derp.
For sure. Thank you for having me as well.
Tournament to tell us about.
Yeah, that's right. I'm one of the 3 orgs of the Team League tournament, which is now in its 3rd season. We had the pilot season and then season 1 and 2, and now we're in season 3. Should I just talk about it, or do you want to ask specific questions?
Well, first, let's get the important info. So, register this upcoming 3rd one. The day we're recording this is Sunday, which is the day of the player draft. It's a 2-day tournament, assuming you're a successful team, next Saturday and Sunday. Is that correct?
That should be correct, yeah.
Yep, that's the 29th and 30th of January. So the way this, but describe to us the basic setup of this tournament.
Sure. So I think it was Chester who came up with the idea. And Chester and Radamil approached me as the technical org, doing all the website and all of that. And the idea came from a StarCraft 2 tournament, which had a similar thing where streamers would pick players and then play against each other. And we just thought there's too many similar tournaments where just, let's say, the top clans are just winning everything, and the more casual players don't really have a chance to really take part or get really high up on these tournaments. So for our tournament, we pre-select streamers. This season we have 16 different streamers from the community that should be known to most players. People like StatsBloke, Flambers, C-Raptor, We also have a few
Boxy.
Boxy, indeed. We also have a few wargaming teams, and on the 19th of January, they picked their team leaders. And the way the player picking works is you sign up, you connect your account on the website with your wargaming account, and then we pull the stats, and players get put into dynamic pools, which means every time someone signs up, the pools are updated and moved into essentially win rate brackets. So, for example, for this season, we have the pool 1, which goes from approximately 74% to 61% win rate, and then it goes down to pool 4 in the end with 52 to 42% win rate. And during the draft, players from each pool have to be picked for the team. So you can have a max of 2 players per pool, which means that each team will consist of varying skill levels. And we think that's what makes the tournament interesting to watch, because you see players that you haven't seen before and you most likely will not see in any other tournament. And you get very interesting matches. Of course, the game quality might not be what you expect from like tournaments like COTS, but it's a different way of interesting, because some of them surprise you with very good plays, and in the end it comes down to what can the team leaders make out of the players they have. And we've had very positive feedback from a lot of the players that are maybe in the lower pools and haven't played in any tournament, because they learned a lot playing with better players. And I think all around, everybody who takes part has a lot of fun.
So it's not just a limit on, you've got to get 2 people from each pool. You can't have more than 2 people from each clan either, is that correct?
That is also correct, yeah. I think I'm not sure if we had that limitation in season or in the pilot season already, but for sure we limit the people per clan, because otherwise we would end up with just like half the team being from the same clan, and that's not really what we want with the tournament.
How specific is that? Because I happened to be the team captain for I was selected by the streamer / wargaming employee Boxy, and I am looking at folks, and I know I can only pull 2 people. Myself is already counted, so 1 other from TNG, but can I take people from TNG2 and TNG3, or do you mean, is it clan communities, or is it specific in-game clans? Because you also have 07, Q7, 007. Explain, does that per clan limit, does that apply to only in-game clans or to the clan community?
No, it only applies to in-game clans, because obviously the whole drafting process is automated, which means when you pick people, it will automatically like filter the list for everything you can still pick. And let's say the API doesn't know anything about communities. It only knows about the clans. So we can only limit it for one specific clan and not communities. And I guess after that it's just please don't overdo it. And so far we didn't have any problems with that.
Okay. What's also remarkable about this tournament, again, it's a 2-day tournament where there's a group stage and then the knockout rounds among the more successful teams on the first day, is that it is completely international. We're playing this thing on the EU server with press accounts. There's no preliminary stage on each individual server. That also adds something to it that I guess we haven't seen, because in theory you could have a team with folks from 4 different servers on it, right?
Yeah, I think we started with only EU in the pilot season, and then once we had the website up and running, we just expanded it to NA. I think we still have the majority of players from EU, and I think for the first season we had a bit of an unfortunate time frame, so that some of the NA people couldn't really take part, and we made it a bit more appealing to most time zones so that everybody can take part. And you mentioned the press accounts, which is something right at the start in our pilot season, we had some let's call it relations to Wargaming, so we were able to get press accounts for every player. Obviously, with players that are not really in the competitive scene, they might not have all the ships required. So we wanted to make sure that every team has essentially, or every player has the same baseline they can start from. So everybody gets a press account, everybody has all the ships available, and they can just have fun.
So is this a Wargaming sponsored tournament? Would you describe it that way?
I mean, the rewards...
like your prize pool, that kind of thing.
Yes, definitely. We, I would say, considering how little time effort for the players goes into this tournament, we have a pretty good amount of rewards. Also, of course, since this tournament is focused around the streamers picking the team, the streamers also get quite nice rewards. And I think we have had 2 streamers so far that won the team league and after that became CC. I'm not saying it was because of team league, but it's suspicious.
Yeah, well, look, I actually also on this episode we're talking to another tournament, the Clash of Classes, which I think is just an NA thing, but they also have Wargaming sponsorship. So I'm glad to see that Wargaming is stepping out and supporting some of these more innovative tournaments, such as yours. So I guess right now, if you're not already engaged with the tournament, it's too late to sign up. But what's the best way to find out to watch the tournament when it takes place next weekend?
To watch the tournament, you can probably see all the stream links either on the COTS Discord or on the Team League Discord. And apart from that, I think most big streamers will be streaming that. We have Blood Minister, who is from Wargaming. We have Statsbloke, we have Flambus, Sea-Raptor, Lord Zarth, Killerbin, Tiger's Den, TC Freer. Then I think the official Wargaming stream will be also there because that is Sarah Fiss who's streaming that. We have Farah Zeleth, who we got out from the grave for last season, and he's taking part in another one. We have the Sailing Robin, Yokat, Diraj, Painzor, Boxy, and Private Penguin. So I think if you're on Twitch in the time frame of the tournament, you will stumble across it either way. But yeah, apart from that, Team League Discord or other Discords where we make the announcements, which will have all the stream links.
Well, look, Stuey, I appreciate you coming on the podcast to talk to us about this tournament. And maybe next time this tournament comes out, we'll try to get a segment up on it when folks still have the opportunity to sign up. I can tell you from looking at it as a potential captain or as a captain is that there's a lot of folks that signed up, and probably a lot more people signed up than are actually going to get picked for teams. And I guess when you get too many teams, it becomes unmanageable. But I mean, I can say that the more attention this gets, probably could see it potentially expanding into like a multi-weekend thing and getting bigger and bigger. So again, congratulations on building one of these tournaments from nothing and now having it in a successful 3rd iteration, international, with support from Wargaming, with support from the entire streaming community is quite an accomplishment. So again, very good job on that, and we look forward to talking to you again as this tournament continues to develop.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me.
The Get to Know the World of Warships podcast is produced by the New Guys. We are always grateful to our former hosts Bogsy, who abandoned us to take a real job, and Borla, who found a better use of his time organizing the seashells he collects by the seashore. Learn more about the New Guys on their Discord at discord.gg/thenewguys. Wherever you find this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share. Send all complaints to synpax@hotmail.com and join us again next time for the podcast that refuses to die. Get to know World of Warships.